prego a Łukasz KOHUT.
Thank you very much, dear colleagues. Firstly, I would like to thank Arbie Kokalari, her team, and the secretariats for the great cooperation during the work on the draft. This cooperation among co-rapporteurs from the biggest groups proves that it is possible to achieve a very good compromise swiftly. Thank you, Arba, and I'm looking forward to further constructive work on this file. Simultaneously with this draft, we are proceeding with a proposal for a directive on combating gender-based violence and domestic abuse. The legislative act will not only better align member states' differing approaches towards violence against women and domestic violence, but also lay down minimum common standards for the protection of the victims and for improving their access to the justice system. Coming back to the Istanbul Convention, I believe that the draft of the interim report should be a starting point to open a broader discussion on a comprehensive, ambitious document which should complement the proposed directive. The final report should focus on cross-political priorities, namely combating gender-based violence, ensuring sufficient support for the victims, and prosecuting perpetrators. I am convinced that many members of the European Parliament from many political groups are committed to achieving these goals. However, regrettably, on the right side of this House, there are sitting MEPs which do not care about the health, life and security of women. They talk a lot about values, about families. They kiss women's hand, but it's only calculated propaganda. Amongst them, there are MEPs who supported the terrible anti-abortion law in Poland, a law which has already caused fatalities. People died as a consequence of a politically motivated verdict of the illegal Polish Constitutional Tribunal. I would like to take this opportunity to remember Ms. Iza from Szczyna, Ms. Ania from Świdnica, Ms. Marta from Katowice, and Ms. Justyna from Wodzisław Śląski. They paid the highest price with their lives. The overwhelming majority of Polish women expect that EU will act decisively on this matter and will support pro-health and pro-women standards. The standards which is truly pro-life for 20 million women in Poland. Their voice should be heard in the EU instead of misogynists Kaczynski and Orban. Undoubtedly, the EU accession to the Istanbul Convention will improve the situation in many families where violence is occurring. It is necessary to achieve a legal framework. It is necessary to provide for better monitoring implementation of the EU law, programs and funds relevant to the Convention. We have included these demands in this draft. We also included in the draft report a call to provide sufficient human and financial resources to civil society organizations, which particularly is so crucial for many of them. This issue was my personal priority. The EU should stand with the victims, which must be reflected in the EU by finally acceding the Istanbul Convention for women, for minorities, for families. Thank you very much.
Grazie a Łukasz.
Thank you for constructive discussion on this matter. Let me conclude by saying that it is absolute shame that till this day not all member states have ratified the convention and the EU itself has not acceded it yet. I would like to especially underline that there are absolutely no legal obstacles for the Council to proceed to the ratification of the convention by a qualified majority. There is no need to wait for member states which only wish to obstruct the process of the better protection of women in the EU. There is no more time to waste. Thank you very much.